Hello, everyone. I hope you all are having a great weekend. I am having an absolutely amazing weekend because, if you can't tell already, I just saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. And my gosh, this movie was awesome. So first, we'll show the pops off first. First, though, massive spoilers ahead. I don't want anyone to have this movie spoiled or ruined for them by watching this. So, yeah, spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched the movie, obviously, don't watch my video until after you've watched Spider-Man Brand New Day. So, yeah, spoilers ahead. Just giving you a warning now. If you don't want the movie spoiled for you, don't watch this video. So, I'll give you a bit to leave. So first, we'll show off the pops first, and then we'll talk about the movie, because there's a lot to talk about. So, first off, we'll go with kind of a weird one. We have the No Way Home battle damage suit. Now, when it came off its base, does it just stand by itself? Not really. So, with this pop, I don't think, at least when I was watching the first few minutes of the movie, expecting the No Way Home suit, the final swing suit, whatever you want to call it, to show up. I don't think it ever did. I don't think this suit ever shows up in the movie. The actual No Way Home suit. I don't think, even at the beginning, I don't think it shows up. I think it's already his new suit, his Brand New Day suit. I don't think the No Way Home suit, final swing suit, shows up at all. And it's battle damage, too. So what I'm thinking is, with Tombstone having a Funko Pop and this, I think there was probably more planned for the beginning of the movie that they cut out. And we were probably going to see the No Way Home suit in action, but that ended up not happening, obviously. So, yeah, weird. I don't know. I think there was probably more planned for Tombstone in the beginning of this movie. But, yeah, I don't think we ever, obviously, whenever I rewatch it, I'll have to, look. But, yeah, I don't think that this suit ever showed up in the movie. So, kind of weird, but at least it's a cool pop to have. And then we have the metallic, just Brand New Day suit. Obviously, looks so good in the movie. So clean. Love the blue. Love that it's shiny. Obviously, this suit looked so good. One of the best live-action suits we've ever had. Super comic accurate. You couldn't ask for more. It was awesome. Then we have Hulk. He didn't play as big of a role in this movie as I thought he would, but still. Oh, and I will talk about him when I get to my movie review, because there's something that is kind of confusing to me. But yeah, him, obviously, without his inhibitor, ripping off his shirt, growing into huge, massive, savage Hulk. Doesn't last very long, unfortunately. But, yep, so we got 6-inch Hulk. And then we got the big boy, the 10-inch pop. Obviously, just Spider-Man suit again. But this time in just really good detail, obviously, because it's a 10-inch pop. We got the big boy. And I did pre-order the Scorpion and Tombstone ones, and I'll probably pre-order the Winter Gear one. But yeah, so that's 10-inch Spidey. Obviously, I don't want my face being covered. So yeah, so those are the pops. Awesome suit. Love the Brand New Day suit. It looked so good. One of the best looking live action suits we've ever got. It's so beautiful. I got it in Rivals. I've played with it a little bit in Spider-Man 2. So it's amazing. No pun intended. So yeah, so those are the pops, but let's get into my review. So first, we're going to start off with the negatives, because I always like to get those out of the way, because I have a lot to gush about with this movie. But negatives. So, probably my biggest gripe with this movie is I'm not the biggest fan of MJ finding out that her and Peter had a life together before, and Ned at the end of the movie finding out. At least it was at the end of the movie and not the beginning. But I think it would have been more impactful if they both wouldn't have known. Because it feels like they're undoing the big, huge, major event in MCU Spider-Man history that, changed everything for him. Obviously, people forgetting your real identity is obviously a big deal. And I just kind of feel like with MJ and Ned, it's kind of being undone already. I feel like that maybe should have waited till the second movie of this trilogy. But, I mean, it was handled good, but I'm just not a fan of the general concept of they're discovering again that Spider-Man's Peter, and that they had a friendship and a relationship before. I don't know. I think it kind of takes away the impact of Doctor Strange's spell a little bit. Not a ton, but I'm just not the biggest fan of that overall. Second, maybe it's not as much of a criticism, but if you were to say that this movie suffers from being too involved in the overall Marvel universe and not being Spidey-focused enough, maybe not being Spidey-focused enough, but there's too many other Marvel characters that intervene in this story, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Now, I don't think it takes away from the main plot, and the main story, I really don't, but having Punisher, Yelena, now we have Jean Grey and mutants, too. Hulk. It does Department of Damage Control. It kind of does feel a little, I guess, cramped would be the word. Sometimes it can feel like it wasn't focusing on Spidey enough, which I disagree. I mean, I don't necessarily think that, but if someone said that argument, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with them. I know that's a really weird way to put it, but I wouldn't necessarily, say, oh, you're wrong. Because I think there was a little bit of that. And then with Hulk, they don't ever really explain how he transitioned from Smart Hulk back to Banner, and then how Hulk took over again. It's kind of just glossed over. I know there's a big time jump, but at the same time, I kind of think that should have been discussed a little bit more, especially if we're going to get Hulk in a big fight scene. I kind of feel like we should have had that explanation and not had kind of a gap in between, or it should have been explained, right? I think it should have just been explained what happened with Dr. Banner and how he got to being normal Hulk, but he had an inhibitor, or normal Dr. Banner, not normal Hulk, normal Dr. Banner, and how he had the inhibitor, and how he went from Smart Hulk to just normal Bruce. I don't know. I think it could have been explained a little better. And then obviously Tombstone and Scorpion, I think, should have been used more in Tarantula and Boomerang. They were just villains that showed up for, tiny, tiny bits. Scorpion a little bit more, but I still wish he would have gotten more involved because of the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Homecoming. I still don't feel like that's paid off a whole lot, especially because we know the second time it was Jean controlling him, not Scorpion himself. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Scorpion and Tombstone could have been in the movie a little more, especially because Tombstone's design looked really good. But besides that, yeah, that's about it for criticism. And then the strengths. I mean, where do I even start, man? This movie, I think the strength is in its characters. Seeing Peter's kind of evolution of turning into, his arachnid spider genes being, pumped up to 11, and seeing him go through that change, all while dealing with, the fallout of no one remembering him, and especially seeing MJ with someone else, and, MJ telling Peter that, she can't love him because she doesn't remember him, and then seeing his character growth and the theme of, even if, you think you're alone, there are always people there to support you, which is very true, by the way. I think that it was awesome. I think Peter's character grew a lot in this movie. And then obviously the other characters, Ned and MJ were great. Zendaya was awesome, as per usual. Punisher was great. I loved his dynamic with Peter. It was funny. Also seeing him his guilt from injuring Peter and shooting him. That was cool to see that side of Punisher. A little more kind of graceful Punisher. And then, obviously, the big one. I mean, Jean Grey, right? Sadie Sink did a great job playing Jean Grey. She nailed that role. It was kind of obvious that she was going to be Jean Grey from the trailers. A redhead playing as a telepath. Yeah, we knew this. Like, we kind of knew it already going in, but just to have that confirmation was awesome. But man, she played Jean so well. I mean, just her powers were awesome. The way she, reacted towards the Department of Damage Control and Peter, because she obviously thought Peter was trying to stop her until, she realizes, oh, he made a mistake. He really wasn't sided with Damage Control. Finding out about her sister and how she freezes half of New York City, and then she, threatens to kill the director of the Department of Damage Control was awesome. I mean, her character was just so well written. It makes me so excited to see what they do with the mutants in the MCU going forward. And I think this is really kind of the beginning of the mutant-human tensions that we'll probably see in the MCU. This is probably the start of that. So, yeah, I mean, Peter and MJ, even though, again, like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of MJ finding out, I still think it was handled about as well as you could have handled it. And then his relationship with the city, too, being seen as a big hero, the city rallying behind him when he's hurt, people seeing the good he does, that was awesome. The city felt alive, and the city felt lived in, and the city itself felt like a character. A lot of people have said that already, but it's true. The city itself felt like its own character. And then the music was great too. I mean, the suit looked so good. It was just an awesome Spider-Man movie. Just what else do I say? Especially the themes of like loneliness and dealing with that, and isolation, and how do you handle that? What does it do to you? How do you help other people get through it when you've been through it yourself? Was handled so well. And then, yeah, the Department of Damage Control was good too. I feel like they were incorporated well, and that they were involved a lot. And yeah, I just think that the Department of Damage Control being the villains, they're a shady organization, right? They have been in Marvel for, I think, a while. I'm pretty sure if I know my comic history correctly. But in the MCU, they have, with stuff like Ms. Marvel. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know really what else to say. I think this movie's strength were its characters and the action. The action was awesome. You could definitely tell that Dustin Daniel Cretton directed both Shang-Chi and Spider-Man. Dustin Daniel Cretton? I think it's Daniel Dustin Cretton. I don't know if I got his name right. Anyway, you can tell he's the one who directed both Shang-Chi and this movie, because the combat was awesome, especially the scene where Peter fights the Hand right before he gets to Jean. That was freaking sick. That, twirly move he did with all the webs was awesome. You could also tell there was a lot with, the web swinging and some of the fighting. There was a lot of inspiration from Insomniac's Spider-Man. And with the first Insomniac Spider-Man game being my favorite video game of all time, I loved it. I ate up every second of it. So, yeah, overall, do I think this movie is better than No Way Home? I'm going to say no. I still think No Way Home was slightly better because it brought all three Spider-Men together. I think it was really true to the core Spider-Man. Not that this movie is, but that movie especially was. And I think seeing Peter deal with losing Aunt May and, his grief with that and how it conflicted with him wanting to save the villains was great. So, I mean, this movie's amazing, though. I don't like it better than No Way Home, but only by a tiny bit. And the movie felt grounded, too. Even with all the other Marvel characters, it didn't feel like it went too far or too bombastic, or it went celestial, or, had to fight in space, fighting against an army of aliens. It didn't extend to that. They stuck it to New York with, Spider-Man and Jean and Damage Control being the main conflict. So, yeah, overall, I absolutely love this movie. I cannot wait to rewatch it. I don't usually rewatch movies twice in theaters, but I'll wait till it comes out on Disney Plus probably. And I am so excited. I love this movie to death. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was nearly perfect, but yeah, let me know what you guys thought of Spider-Man No Way Home. Brand New Day. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, and happy International Spider-Man Day.